Welcome back again to Deep Dive Podcast. You wanted to know more about Disney, and, this is what we call it on Wall Street.
The Walt Disney Company, yeah.
The Walt Disney Company. And you've given us so much to look at.
A lot of information here, yeah.
We've got financial reports, company profiles, stock forecasts, even some news stories that have been making headlines.
Definitely a lot to dive into.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's see what Disney's all about, how they've been doing, and what we can expect from them in the future.
So when someone says Disney, what do you think of?
Oh, theme parks, right? Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
All the classic characters.
But looking through all this stuff, I'm realizing there's so much more to it.
Oh, yeah, way more.
So much more than meets the eye.
Exactly. Their operations are huge and complex.
So where do we even begin?
Well, the company profile breaks their business down into three main segments: entertainment, sports, and experiences.
Okay, so when we say entertainment, we're talking about way more than just Mickey Mouse.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking Marvel, Pixar, Lucasfilm. Wow.
ABC, 20th Century Studios, they own it all.
I mean, that's a lot of big names.
All under the Disney umbrella.
It's easy to forget how much they actually own.
Right. They're everywhere in the entertainment industry.
And then, of course, there's the parks and the cruises. That's what falls under the experiences segment, right?
Exactly. And then you've got ESPN. That's a big deal in the sports world.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, they're a global company.
Global. And it seems like they just keep getting bigger.
And they make money from licensing and merch and publishing deals. I mean, you see Disney characters on everything these days.
Literally everything. It's kind of amazing, actually. Speaking of Disney in the news, there's a couple of stories that I saw that I just thought were really interesting.
I bet you're talking about that Moana lawsuit.
Yes. Moana 2 is like $1 billion box office hit, and they're getting sued over it.
That's crazy, right?
I don't understand. What's the deal?
Well, it sounds like there's some debate about who owns the original story for Moana.
And this case is bringing up a big issue for companies like Disney. Intellectual property rights.
That makes sense.
They have to protect their creative work, especially when that's what their whole business is built on.
Yeah, they've got all these iconic characters and storylines. I mean, you can see why that would be important for them.
Yeah.
And then there was also that whole thing about them canceling their sports streaming venture with Venu.
Ah, yes, the one with Fox and Warner Bros. Discovery, that was pretty unexpected.
Yeah, it was. It makes you wonder what their plan is for streaming moving forward.
Definitely. The competition is fierce out there.
So even a giant like Disney has to adjust to all these industry changes, huh?
Seems like it.
Well, this is all fascinating, but I also want to know about the numbers. How is their stock doing, and how healthy are their finances, really?
Let's start with the stock price. As of today, Disney is trading at $108.81 per share.
Okay.
And get this, their market cap is a whopping $197.05 billion.
Wow, that is a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
But what does it mean for people who want to invest?
Yeah, what can we learn from their financial reports?
Well, their latest reports show that their revenue for 2024 was $91.36 billion.
Okay.
That's a 2.77% increase from the previous year.
So not a huge jump, but still going up.
Yeah, still a good sign in this crazy market.
What about their net income?
Ooh, now this is interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Their net income had a huge increase, like a massive jump of 111.21%.
Wait, over 100%?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, for one thing, Moana 2 was a box office smash, so that brought in a ton of money.
Makes sense.
But they've also been really smart about cutting costs and making their operations more efficient.
So it's not just about making more money, it's also about spending less.
Exactly. It's a winning combination.
So they're making smart decisions, and they're also making blockbuster hits.
Sounds like they're doing everything right.
I'm sure investors are also curious about things like their price-to-earnings ratio and dividend yield. But can you tell us about those?
Okay, so the price-to-earnings ratio, or PE ratio, tells us how much investors are willing to pay for each dollar of Disney's earnings. It's a way to see how much the company is worth compared to how much money they're actually making.
So a high PE ratio means people think the company's going to do well in the future, right?
Exactly. They're optimistic about growth.
Okay. And what about the dividend yield?
That's the annual dividend payment as a percentage of the stock price.
So basically how much money investors get back.
Right. And for people who are looking for a steady income from their investments, that's really important.
Okay, so a higher dividend yield means more money for the investors.
Assuming the company keeps paying dividends, of course.
Right. So we've got all this information about how Disney's doing right now. But what about the future? What are analysts saying about their potential for growth?
Well, the general feeling is pretty positive.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, the analyst consensus is a strong buy rating for Disney stock.
That's pretty good.
It is. But even with a strong buy, there are always different opinions and predictions.
Of course. So what's the range of forecasts that we're seeing?
The average 12-month price target among analysts is $125.80. That would be a 15.61% increase from the current price.
Wow. So if they're right, investors could make a decent profit.
They could, but you asked about the range, right?
Yeah. What are the most optimistic and the most pessimistic predictions?
Well, the highest target I've seen is $147,
Wow.
and the lowest is $95.
Okay, so a pretty big difference.
Yeah, but that's how it goes with the stock market. It's unpredictable.
Nobody can predict the future.
Exactly. But these forecasts give us a general idea of what could happen.
That makes sense. What about the long-term outlook? Are analysts expecting Disney to keep growing?
Yeah, the long-term projections for revenue and earnings per share are generally trending upwards.
So even with those challenges we talked about earlier.
You mean the Moana lawsuit and the Venu situation?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It seems like they're still in a good position to keep growing.
It seems that way. Analysts seem to think they can handle it.
I mean, they've got such a strong collection of brands and a history of success.
Right. And they're not afraid to change with the times.
Yeah, they're adapting to the new media landscape.
For sure.
So overall, it seems like Disney is still a major force in the entertainment industry.
I'd say so. They're a company to watch, for sure.
Okay, so let's take a minute to go over everything we've learned about Disney today.
Okay, sounds good.
We started by talking about how big and diverse their business really is. It's not just theme parks and animated movies anymore.
Right. They're a global entertainment powerhouse.
Yeah, they're involved in practically every part of the industry.
And then we looked at some of the recent news, like that lawsuit over Moana, and how important it is for them to protect their intellectual property.
And the Venu sports cancellation, which shows how tough the streaming market is right now.
We also dove into their financials and saw that they're doing pretty well, especially with that huge jump in net income.
And analysts seem to be optimistic about their future with that strong buy rating.
It's been a really interesting look into the world of Disney.
It has. And as always, I like to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Oh, I like this part.
Right.
A question to keep the conversation going.
Exactly. So here's something to ponder. Disney has this huge entertainment ecosystem, and they depend on knowing what consumers want. But how will those changing tastes and behaviors impact their success in the long run?
That's a great question, especially with the rise of streaming and how younger generations are consuming content.
Yeah, how will Disney keep up with those trends and stay on top?
And what about intellectual property? As technology changes and it gets easier for people to create their own content, how will Disney protect their creative work and navigate all the complications of copyright in the digital age?
Those are some really interesting questions that Disney's going to have to figure out in the years to come.
And they're important for anyone who's interested in the future of the company.
Definitely. So there you have it, folks. That's our deep dive into the world of Disney.
We covered a lot today. Their business, their challenges, their financial performance, and even took a glimpse into the future.
It's been a pleasure exploring this entertainment giant with you.
I agree. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all again for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.